I checked out your film, Son.
Oh yeah, did you like it?
I did. It's horrifying, very very bloody.
Yeah, that's great. Are you a fan of horror films?
You know what? Strangely enough, I am. I do actually cover a lot of horror films, but this isn't your first rodeo, from my understanding. You've done horror films before.
Yeah, I did a very, very low budget horror film called Tin Can Man in 2007. We shot it over 2 weekends and with friends, and it was for about €500 it cost, hardly anything, but it did really well, and we sold it to the United States and did really well. And then in 2014 I did another one called The Canal, which did really well. It premiered at Tribeca and it got fantastic reviews. And yeah, for some reason I went off and did a Western after that called Never Grow Old, and now I'm back to horror. I seem to always be drawn back to it, it's in my blood, I think.
What about horror that you love that genre so much for yourself?
It's a few things. I feel I love the possibilities of it. They seem endless, Yeah, cinematically, you can do absolutely anything. You can push the boundaries of cinema, like visually and in the sound as well. Especially, you can really push it almost to breaking point. I love that you can explore any kind of theme, as in a horror film, through genre, you can explore all of these really complex things, and they're always really full of heightened emotion, which I loved, which I love, and dripping. I love making films that are dripping with atmosphere. I love creating a whole universe with my films, when I'm making my film, I choose every color on the walls, every prop, everything. I love starting from the base and working up and creating complete cinematic universe, and horror allows you to do that.
So when you did Son, did that act, because you've done 2 horror movies before, do you just keep on raising the bar for yourself, like keep on elevating your what you want to do?
I would never really think about it like that. I mean, but Son came from a really personal place, the beginnings of it, at the beginning, I wasn't even sure what it was. Was it a drama? Is it a thriller? Or what is it? Is it a horror film? I don't know. It came from after my son was born, my first son, and he had a really difficult birth. And we were really, really worried about him for the first few months. We had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of worry. And at the same time, I could see how close my wife and my son were growing, the bond, the mother-son bond. And that got me thinking about how far would a mother go to protect her son, Is there anything that she wouldn't do to protect her son, And then I got talking to a friend of mine who worked in a prison as a prison warden, as a prison guard. And he told me he worked in a prison for really violent criminals who did these terrible things. And he said that the mothers of these guys, no matter what these guys had done, no matter how bad their crimes, the mothers always visited them, but the fathers never did. And then that got me thinking about the mother-son relationship as well, and the idea of forgiveness of who the son is, but I still love you, and then during these sleepless nights in between feeding the baby and the baby crying is when I began writing Son. So it came from that very organic, personal place. So I wasn't really thinking I want to set out and raise the bar for another horror film. It just flowed from that,
Wow, that is a interesting origin story that actually became a horror film. So wow, yeah. That's certainly a path. Now, obviously, the son is the anchor for this film. Could you talk about finding the right child to play the son? And you found it with Luke.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, that role, and even for an adult, that would have been a difficult role. So I knew it was absolutely crucial that I had to find the right child. I think we had auditioned about 400 or 500 kids, and I was really, really late in the process when we found Luke. And I knew the moment I saw his audition tape that it had to be him, He was just so natural on and off camera. There was no difference, And then I had him read on camera with Andy Matichek, who plays his mother, and who I'd already cast. And I could see the spark and the chemistry between them, And then I drove down from Mississippi to Atlanta, where he's from, and I met him and his father, and we did some improv. And I knew then it just had to be him, there was no question about it. And he was just absolutely stunning. He just amazed us all the way through the shoot.
One of the things that I was fascinated about Luke is that his performance in the convulsion scenes, was that difficult for him to do, or was that difficult for you to direct him to do that?
No, you see, one thing I had was Luke has an amazing father. His father's name is Matthew, and he was an actor. And when you're casting a child, you kind of need to cast the parents at the same time, because you need them to be open and to help you along, So I was able to say to Matthew, Luke's father, he should watch, you should watch, not Luke, you should watch these videos of people having these convulsions, these medical videos. And you should also watch Cries and Whispers, say, by Ingmar Bergman, and watch the woman in that, the way she's convulsing in pain. And then you should try and convey that to Luke. That's the kind of thing I want. So by the time Luke arrived on set, he had already practiced doing that stuff. And then all I had to do was adjust it a little bit and push him a bit further. So it was really easy. And his father is like this amazing acting coach with his son, And Luke is just, I mean, the key, I've worked with children now in the last 3 films in crucial roles. And the key for me for directing children is to just keep it like a game, It's keep them constantly up playing. And that's what it was like for Luke. It was a constant sense of fun. So what might look horrifying to us was actually fun for him. He was laughing at the end of that take or whatever, So it was a combination of stuff, but it was really easy to get that kind of stuff that I wanted,
It's funny, is because when we watch horror films and children are in horror films, we sometimes we wonder how they could actually divide, those two worlds.
Yeah, it's just a game. And also, if you expose the children very easily or very early to how everything is made, we break it up into shots. If anything is too scary, I always shoot the kid's side first, take him out of the room, shoot the scary stuff, and bring him back in then when it's all over, So in fact, he doesn't ever actually see anything scary, if there's anything scary, And and again, keep it like a game always, Now, at the end of it, he didn't want to leave,
One of the things I was fascinated is the fact that you kept everything with practical effects, the blood, the gore.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spoil anything, but the reveal of the father at the end. Why did you want to how did you actually develop that? How can you say, sort of like a creature feature type of thing?
Oh, the prosthetics.
Yeah.
Well, I had an amazing prosthetic guy, and basically I had an idea in my head, and I'm terrible at drawing. I can only do stick figures, but I was able to draw with a stick figure the kind of thing I wanted, and then he was able to make a really good drawing, and I was able to say no, a bit more here, a bit more there. So I always had an idea in my head what he looked like, and I didn't want it to be the typical demon type look. I wanted them to be almost to look like Christ, and a bit effeminate and a bit really inviting,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just always had the vision of what he looked like in my head, and then I just had an amazing prosthetics guy, MFX guy, who's worked with Steven Spielberg in multiple films, and he was just amazing. It took hours and hours and hours to get that makeup on. It's just incredible, and he might be disappointed. I don't know whether he's seen the film yet, because you actually see very little of the demon at the end. It's just a glimpse. But I think you see enough for the audience to put it together in their heads, So you might have seen more. You might have thought you've seen more than you actually have,
No, I agree. I did see the film, and for some unknown reason I kept on thinking his presence was throughout the entire film, and
yeah.
And I think that's what draws someone into his son.
Amazing. And another thing we did that might have an effect as well is I put all these subliminal shots, like one frame shots in throughout the film of the demon. So they're scattered in there somewhere, and you know, on multiple viewings, I'm sure people will spot them. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was this filmed in the United States, or is it filmed in your home country of Ireland?
No, we shot it in Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing. So this is the first film, even though I've made a Western, this is actually the first film I've actually shot in the United States, you know. So yeah, I thought it was amazing. I mean, I grew up in American films, and Mississippi is just an incredible place. I mean, everywhere you turn the camera, to me, it looks cinematic. To people who live there, it looked like, well, it's just every day. But for me, it looked cinematic and exotic, you know. It was just amazing. It's an amazing place. And in America as well, no matter how big the story is, no matter how fantastical, in America, because it's so vast, it seems like it's possible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a very small country, say where I'm from, Ireland, it's not that possible because everyone knows each other, you know. So, you know, and you drive 2 hours. You could never make a road movie in Ireland because it's 2 hours up and 2 hours across. So that's it, you know.
Yeah.
But in America, it's just fast. And I always wanted to make a road movie. And I always wanted to make one of those films where, like those old film wars, where a character goes from place to place, meeting all these great character actors. And that's why I spent so much time casting and make sure, even if someone has 3 lines in the film, they needed to be perfect, you know. And I spent a lot of time casting this film.
Well, I think you've done a terrific job of choosing locations and sets for it, because a lot of places were pretty creepy.
Oh, thanks a million. That's great. Well, I kind of wanted the character's journey to be to go from like the Norman Rockwell America to the Taxi Driver America. So I wanted it to be the full spectrum. I wanted it to be this idyllic perfection, and to go from that into this descent into hell, basically, you know.
Yeah.
And the film may seem to be about demons and all that sort of stuff, but the real evil in the film is the people, you know.
Yeah.
And what the people do, like in real life.
Absolutely. Now, before I forget, your biggest name star is Emil Hirsch. How did you manage to score him for a film like this?
Well, I worked with Emil on my previous film, Never Grow Old, the Western. He starred opposite John Cusack in that one, and we really like working together. He's great on set. The crew always love him. He's great fun. He's good to have around. And I let him read the script, and he thought it was great. And he'd never played a role like this before, and he really relished every moment of it. You know, he loved it.
Absolutely. Well, let me leave with one more thought, Ivan. Obvious. I'm assuming you're not calling from Ireland right now, are you?
No. I live in Sweden at the moment. My wife is Swedish, so we have a place here. So I'm in a small coastal town called Simrishamn, which is right down the bottom of Sweden. And actually the temperatures have just gone up. It was -15 the other day, so the sea actually froze. I didn't think that was possible, but the sea froze, and that's where I am at the moment, close to where Bergman used to work.
Well, let me leave with this one thought, because you know, you and I are talking virtually right now, and the world is crazy, but how are you staying sane and creative during this time, especially in such cold weather?
Yeah, well, I mean, lucky for me, I'm a writer as well, so I just kept writing, you know. And I'm working on this TV series for MGM called The Vanishing Triangle, and I'm just finished that with another writer, and I've just finished a script called Vengeance with the crime writer John Bassoff, which I'm really excited about, and it's gone into financing now, so we're hoping to shoot that later this year on the TV series as well. So if everything in the world comes back together to normal, I hope so, you know.
Excellent. Well, hey, Ivan, thank you for speaking with us, and I can't wait to talk to you again about your future projects.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was great to talk to you.
Hey, thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.